All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of We Create Music TV. I am B. Vaughn, of course, your host. Man, today we got a great guest today. My man, president and head of publishing at Bounce Gvng, Hayden THC. Y'all give it up for Hayden. What's good? What's good?
Yo, man, what's good?
Oh man, I'm good. It's nice and 48 degrees now here in Atlanta. You know, so
Oh, that's nice.
I'm not dealing with what some of the Midwest folks like yourself are probably dealing with at this time, but it's good. How about you?
Yeah, man, it's like 19 degrees here in Nashville. It's I'm legit snowed and iced in. Like I had every intention of being at the studio for this, but I'm kind of stuck at home. So here we are, man. But happy that my because we lost power last night, so happy my power's back on.
Oh
Got the
man.
heat going. So yeah.
So okay, so that's one thing I don't have is in my lower in the first floor I don't have any heat. The heater went out today or yesterday.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. So we had to get the guy to come
Yeah.
over and do all his mojo jojo today, but yeah, it's gonna cost some bread to kind of get it fixed. But anyway,
Yikes.
man, but I'm glad you're safe. You're not out there on the street, kind of skidding around. So, but
Yeah,
man, let's
man.
get into it. Let's get into it.
Yes, sir.
So
Let's
kind of
go.
walk us, for all of those who will be tuning in, just walk us through your musical journey.
Yeah, man. Shoot. Man, let's see. I think music's been a part of my life as early as I can remember. I know, sometimes, pregnant women will have like they'll play like Beethoven or Mozart like up to their womb to make the child like really intelligent and stuff like that.
Right.
My mom did that, except it was like Janet Jackson. So like, and this is how I turned out. So
Hey.
yeah, man, I grew up listening to a lot of like Motown, a lot of funk, and then that kind of transitioned into a lot of like old school hip hop, like Sugar Hill Gang, like Run DMC and that stuff, and and then as I kind of grew and I got really into like 90s like golden era boom bap type of stuff and got really into like I guess like underground hip hop from that. So like
Mm-hmm.
all throughout most of growing up, like I was like that like underground backpacker hip hop kid, it was all just like, oh, all this like, commercial rap is whack, all like real
Mm-hmm.
hip hop stuff like that. And so uh as I started to grow and kind of I think expand my musical taste, I just kind of realized I'm like, you know what, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of different types of music that wasn't that I really liked. And finally once I got into college, I'm just like, you know what? If there's music that I like, then I'm just gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna roll with it. So but yeah, I mean music's always been a big part of my life. And then I think when I was in maybe middle school,
Mm.
yeah, probably like seventh or eighth grade. There, of course, like all my friends were wanting to start bands and stuff like that, and so
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be included, right? So like, of course, everyone's like, all my friends were like, yeah, well, I'm gonna be the singer, like I'm gonna be the guitar player, I'm gonna be the drummer. And nobody wanted to be the bass player because I guess the bass player was like always at that time. I guess everybody thought like the bass player was always like the loser who got like no chicks or
Mm.
anything like that. So
Hmm.
I just want to be included. So I was like, all right, I'll learn the bass. I'll play the bass. And so, I got started getting bass lessons when I was in seventh grade, and yeah, man, ever since then, it's just like I've just been, doing music, and then that kind of evolved into, I started doing that. I started rapping around the same time, and then I kind of got into, this is before, like YouTube was really a thing, and you could just search for beats easily online. So I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about anybody that made beats, and so I was just like, well, I mean, I gotta have some beats to rap to. So that's when I started, picking up producing, and really fell in love with it. And yeah, man, fast forward to today, man, and I've been producing, writing, performing to various degrees. Gosh, probably like uh like 15 years, like 14, 15 years to some
Oh,
degree
wow.
now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started taking it, I think it was always something that I never really took as seriously as like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna really go for this. I'm gonna have this be my
Mm-hmm.
career. Probably to like 2016 was when I was really just like, because I think I was never like that sure of myself. I always, I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough, blah blah blah. And then finally, I was just like, you know what? Like, I love this. I love this more than anything else, and it's the one thing that makes me, really happy and that I
Mm-hmm.
really feel fulfilled, like, when I'm doing music and working on music. So I was just like, "Man, you know what? Like, I had all this, I owned and operated a food truck for a while, and I was doing
Okay.
that.
Nice.
Yeah, 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 and so, like, and it was great, but it was just like it was always like I had to sacrifice time from that to do music,
Mm.
or sacrifice, time for music to do that. And it was
Mm-hmm.
this constant, like, so finally it got to the point, in 2016 where I was just like, you know what? I can always start another food truck again because I know how to do that. But like, I've never really been like, you know what? I'm going all in on music. Like,
Mm.
I'm going for it. And so, yeah, man, kind of like towards the end of 2016, I'm just like, you know what? Let's go. And then that's when that's when things started to really shift for me, where I really started to take things like super serious and got
Mm-hmm.
more involved, like, on the business side, and with like learning, because I think the thing for me too is like I've had I've had a lot of experiences in the music industry, and not a lot of great ones, unfortunately. And I've learned from
True.
those experiences. And so it
Mm-hmm.
was just kind of like, I mean, I went to school for like audio engineering and music business. Um, and I think through that, I did learn some, but I think I learned a lot more from just, getting out there and experiencing everything. And so that kind of prompted me to really kind of dig more into the business side. And I think just because at the end of the day, I'm just like, I just don't want people to have to go through like all the stuff that I went through. Like, I want to, if anybody could like avoid a lot of the problems that I've experienced, or like the bad deals
Mm-hmm.
that I've signed and stuff like that. I think it's like, I just got really, just passionate about wanting to help people. And I think that's when,
Mm.
through iStandard, I ended up getting linked in with a lot of the guys in Bounce Gang, which for
Mm-hmm.
a while we were just, like a writer producer crew. And then kind of like during quarantine, we decided we wanted to take this to a whole nother level and really like do something bigger than just, hey, let's just create some dope beats. Like, let's really
Right.
do something for people, because like we're just sitting around, we have all this time during quarantine. It's just like, let's do something with it. So we ended up starting a distribution, pub admin, and multi-channel marketing company.
Mm-hmm.
And and I just I've always really liked publishing. I think mostly because it's something that kind of clicked for me. I kind of understood it when I think a lot of people around me had a harder time kind of understanding some of
Mm-hmm.
the ins and outs and how that works. And so for me, it was really more so just like, yo, like, I want to make sure we're all like getting all of our money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that was
Right.
that
Hey,
was really it.
that's what the money
And
is.
so, yes, sir. And so, like, it was just one of those things where I'm like, yo, like, we're leaving money on the table if we're not like taking care of this stuff. So it kind of prompted me to just really dig in and just do a lot more research and learn a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had my own kind of publishing situations that I've kind of learned from. And then that's when I'm just like, I actually came to the team and I was just like, I've been helping people, like, do like handle their publishing and stuff like that. It's like, that might be something that we could, do for people, that we could help people as a company. And so, yeah, so I just kind of took on that role, man, and just been going ever since. And yeah, just I guess, long story slightly less long. That's kind of how I got started and to where I am today.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, there was so much in there that I want to go back and kind of touch on. So,
Yeah.
so for you, how was that transition? So for you, from 2016, just you said that's when you really got started, and you really got
Yeah.
focused on doing music. I mean, how was that transition? Kind of talk about that and how that kind of played itself out. Because I know a lot of times people just, it's not easy to say, oh, I quit my job and I'm just going to do music full time. So how did that play itself out for you?
Yeah. Honestly, man, so interestingly enough, so I got linked in with this homie of mine. His name is Cookbook. He's in a group called LA Symphony, and I actually worked on
Yeah.
him with his. Yeah, I've worked with him on his most recent album, which was super dope. But he was actually doing this kind of like goal accountability type of program because he does some life
Mm.
coaching as well. And so I got involved with that. And one thing, like through that process, I really whittled down, like, what are my goals? And he taught me about, like, SMART goals, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with SMART goals. It's basically an
Oh yes.
acronym that stands. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh I.
So it's,
Oh I am.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. So I highly recommend you guys, for any of
Yeah.
y'all out there, if y'all haven't checked out Smart Goals, that changed my life, straight
Oh
up.
yeah.
Like and it was one of those things where I think, going through that process, I kind of realized, I'm just like, you know what? Like, I've got to, you know, I've, I don't know. It was one of those things where I'm just like, you know what? Like, if I don't do this, if I don't give myself this opportunity to really
Mm-hmm.
go for what I want, it's like I'm gonna be sitting there just the whole time, just being, like, what if, And I think I see too. I think that's one of those things that, like, I look a lot of my family, a lot of other people that I grew up around. It's just like, a lot of them had dreams, they had things they wanted to do, but it's like, from either like expectations, like from their family, or just, fear, or all these other things, they were just kind of like, I don't know, they just kind of, I guess, got more quote unquote like practically minded or
Yeah.
something. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and I just see a lot of them, just, and even my mom, for example, like, I mean, she acted all throughout growing up, and she won some awards acting even in high
Wow.
school and stuff like that. She always wanted to be an actress, but never did.
Mm-hmm.
I still see where she's at, and she's just now starting to change some stuff in her life where she could start to pursue that again. And
Mm.
it's just like, for me, I think, looking at that, I'm just like, I don't want to be, in, like, my 40s or 50s or something like that, and just
Yeah.
still have, like, never gone after my dreams, or never pursued
Yeah.
any of this stuff. So I think for me, it was just one of those things where I was not happy. I think 2016 was a big year for me. Like, I had gotten out
Mm.
of a really serious relationship that I wasn't happy in, that I think I was kind of like, I kind of lost myself a little bit in that. And I was doing a lot that just wasn't making me happy. And I think it was just I had to, and I think it was I think because of that, I got involved with that kind of goal setting meeting with my homie Cookbook. And then that kind of really made me understand, like, you know what? It's music. You know what I'm saying? Like, this music stuff is what makes me happy. And I think for me, in some weird ways, I guess I'm
Mm-hmm.
fortunate that I haven't, because I've been, there have been like two times in my life where I've been homeless. Like, I've been
Mm.
dead broke and horrible debt. And I've had a lot of, like, actually low key, really traumatic stuff happen to me in my life. And I think, but on the plus side, it's kind of, I think, going through those experiences and coming through the other side has made me
Mm-hmm.
realize, like, you know what, like, I can get through anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I have to
Got that.
struggle, even if I have to do, you know, you know, I know my work ethic, and I know
Mm-hmm.
that I can make it through whatever. And I think because I know those things, based on everything I've gone through in my life, it's just like, for me, it's just like, I can do it. I just got to really just go for it. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time to begin, like, this whole process to me to get to that point where I was just like, yes, all in on music. I mean, it was like a
Mm-hmm.
year. It was like a whole
Wow.
year of just real soul searching and just figuring out, like, all right, you know, I guess for me, I'm the type of person where if I'm gonna do something, like, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I just
Right.
kind of, I gotta just, I don't know. I just can't just, like, half-ass like a bunch of little things.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not. I just, for me, I'm like, if I'm gonna do something, like, I really take it on and own it and do it. So
Yeah.
this is one of those things where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this on and own it and do it.
Right. Yeah. You got. I mean, if you're gonna put your mind to it, you got to do it. Two things that you said in there that I want to comment on. So the first one is, I think you learned some of the biggest lessons from being homeless. Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't wish homelessness on anybody, but I think some of the biggest lessons come through that, especially from the mindset that if when you come out of it and then you become, I guess, way better off than you were before, then
Yeah.
I can do anything, because I was at my lowest, and now I'm at this particular point. And this point may not even be my highest, but it is way higher than where I was before. Because I remember in 2000, me and my family were homeless,
Yeah.
and like we were in Virginia. I mean, we were sleeping in our Jeep, homeless. I mean, homeless. Like trying to
Yeah.
figure out, hey, can I get a couple dollars? I need to feed the like homeless. And I think if I look back from 2000 to 2021, wow. Like I mean, I'm sitting here doing interviews and stuff now. I got all this equipment in here. Like I still think back and go, man, we were at our lowest point. But I think
Mm.
through that, as you said, you develop the mindset that I can make it through, and I can do anything. And I think,
Yeah.
now go ahead, you can comment on that if you want to.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, man. I mean, it's one of those. So like, the first time that happened was like not so because I originally grew up in like Gulf Shores, Alabama,
Oh,
and
okay.
so what happened was in 2004, Hurricane Ivan came and hit the
Mm-hmm.
island like dead on, and so our house got completely destroyed. Like we lost
Wow.
pretty much like everything that we owned. So like, I mean, we were for a couple weeks, you know what I'm saying? It was basically just what we had like in
Mm-hmm.
our car, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and for the next kind of, little over a year or so, like we I mean, we didn't have anything. I mean, fortunately, we got some donation. Like somebody donated like one of their spare air mattresses that like had like two of the chambers burst, and I slept on that on the floor for like a year. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't have anything, but I still, even in the midst of all of that, it's like I was still able to enjoy life and make it through. And it's one
Mm-hmm.
of those things that kind of taught me that it's just like, I don't really need a whole lot of just material things to be okay. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just like I can still, make it through and be myself and find a sense of, I mean, because there were still some times when it's like I had fun and I enjoyed myself, even though it's just
Mm-hmm.
like we had literally nothing. And so it's
Right.
like, man, and so yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like I think that lesson, even though again, like kind of like what you said, I wouldn't wish that on anybody by any means, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it's a really powerful lesson because again, just like kind of like what I said earlier, man, it's just like I don't
Yeah.
really have that fear because I'm like if I've made it through this, like bring it on.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
so now when challenges come your way, you're like, okay, cool. I got this, because this challenge is not as hard as what I went through previously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
facts.
And I think the second thing you said in there, it was so crazy, because yesterday my wife had us watch these two videos, and the video was on the five the five something, the five barriers or something, the five something. I'm looking at my tech guy like, what was it about? The five. It was five something.
Mm,
But what it really was about was how our beliefs shape what we truly do in life, and out of those actions stem our results, right? And so,
yeah,
whatever beliefs we may have about ourselves, about our environment, about society, we develop these beliefs when we're young, and then we kind of make our way through life with these set of core beliefs. And our beliefs lead to thoughts, our thoughts lead to feelings, our feelings lead to actions, our actions lead to results, which just reinforce our beliefs. But it just kind of reminded me when you were talking about your mom, and I don't know if that was her situation or not, but I do know it's a situation for a lot of people, is that they have a certain belief about themselves. Oh, I don't know if I'm really good. I don't know if I can really do this or not. I don't know if I'll be really successful. And then that belief turns into their thoughts and their feelings, and then they kind of carry that through life, and then that's the result. Oh, see, I tried it, and I didn't make it because I knew I just couldn't do it. In the second video, this dude talked about it was the power of decision, man, and just how we have the ability to make a new decision in life and kind of change our own perspective. And it's simple, just make a new decision, and based on that decision, we can start to develop new thoughts, feelings, and actions. I was like, I mean, it was great, but it kind of reminded me of what you just said. But yeah, fear is
yeah, dude.
crazy.
No, I feel that, and honestly, I think for me, one thing that helped was, I think I'm very grateful that I've been in a position where I've, done a lot of work on myself, with like therapy and a lot of other things, and assistance with that. And one thing that I learned, and this is something I was in, kind of a group therapy situation, and one of my friends in there, I remember he said to me at one point, he said, you can press the reset button at any time. And that was really powerful. Like even just on my day, like even if I'm having a bad day, like I can just press the reset button and just decide to reapproach my day. You know what I'm saying? And that was something
Yeah,
that
that's
was
right.
real. Yeah, and that was something that was really powerful. And I think for me, as far as like, and even those beliefs, kind of like what you were talking about as well, like that's so powerful. I mean, like, look, if you go on if you go on streaming services right now and search Hayden THC, you're pretty much gonna
Hmm.
find like one thing on our because Bounce Gang, we just released a Bounce Instrumentals Volume 1, but that's actually the
Hmm.
first real thing that I have as myself because like
Yeah, I saw
again, even
Mini. I saw Mini Monster. I posted that. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And so yeah, because he's on there as well. And yeah, so so I mean, I told you earlier, like I mean, I've been rapping since I was like in early middle school, and it was just one of those things where it's like you said, because I had that belief inside of
Hmm.
myself. I had that belief of just like, you know what, like I'm not, I can't do this, like I can't, like I'm not good enough, like I don't, there's not a place for me here and all that stuff. And so finally it's like I've finally gotten to the point like lately in the past like year or so where I've really started to like work on my own music and do some of those things because it's like again, I mean it's a journey and it's a lot. And I think especially if, we're raised in or come from environments where, you know, you're kind of surrounded with that belief of like,
Hmm.
you know, you can't really do this or like, be realistic and stuff like that. Like I remember when I, was going to college like for, audio engineering and music business and like, I had family members and people just trying to talk me out of it. They're just like, "Well, you're so
Wow.
smart." They're just like, "Well, you're so smart. Like, why don't you just try to be like a doctor or like a lawyer?" And I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to be a doctor because the sight of blood makes me pass out. So that's off the table, like off rip. Like,
Like
that's
off
not
rip.
happening.
No.
Like my grandma really tried because I'm actually like I'm the first uh I'm the first like guy on my dad's side of the family to not go into healthcare at all.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah, yeah. So I definitely got some pushback on that.
I'm sure you did.
Honestly. Yeah, because and that's the thing, like my grandma was just trying to say, like, well, why you're so smart, you have such good grades, like, why don't you want to be a doctor? And I'm just like, I mean, it's just not what I want. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, that's
Hmm.
not, I'm like, my heart's not there. Like, I've got to do, you know, okay, like yes, I do have good grades, but like I'm gonna apply my smarts and my good grades to what I'm trying to do with this
That's
music
right.
stuff. You know what I'm
Hey.
saying? It's just like and it's and it's just like a lot of people don't understand it, and especially it's
Hmm.
I think a lot of people I'm 29. A lot of people my age and a lot of people I went to school with, it's like they got kind of their 9 to 5 jobs. They got their nice
Hmm.
little, like white picket fence house, with their like
Hmm.
little dog and their like 2.2 children and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and
Right.
they're like all married and stuff. And it's like, and I'm still out here grinding, trying to get it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't have any of those things, but
But man,
it's
but you
cool.
do, but you're doing stuff you love though. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people just like to just fit within society and society's expectations, but you're doing exactly what you love to do. You know what I'm saying? And you're reaping benefits from that, and you're making a living from it. Like, if you're doing what you got to do and you love it, psh, man, that's the life.
Listen, man, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, do I have a lot less security than them? Like, probably,
Nah,
honestly.
look,
But
I don't
at,
know.
at the end of the day, man, it's like, so what? Like, I wake up every day and get to do what I love, and I get, and it's really, and it's
Hmm.
something. I mean, honestly, it's something I probably don't do enough. It's probably something I don't think that I step back and kind of am just look at my life and be like, you know what, I get to wake up and do like music every day. You know what I'm saying? Like i get to
Right.
I get to help people. I get the chance to help artists get their money. Like I have the opportunity to create something that could be meaningful to somebody else, you know? And
That's
it's just
right.
like, and that to me, man, like it's pretty dope and pretty amazing. And I think it's something that I think it's
Heck
easy
yeah.
to get caught up in the day to day. And I know I don't do that for myself enough. So for sure.
So let me ask you this. So when you wake up in the morning, who do you answer to?
um, honestly, really our Sis,
Well, besides
Sis,
Sis.
yeah. I mean, I really,
Besides
besides
Sis.
Sis, yeah, because he's technically my boss, but like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we own this
Right,
Bounce Gang
right.
stuff together. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm self-employed, so it's, you
Right.
know, and that's something that's you know, really dope, and also really you know, it's not, I will say that it might not be the life for everybody, but it's definitely the life for me, because at the end of the day, it's like it's like it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because on the plus side, you know, your success, you making it, you know, um you know, getting to wherever you want to get to with what you're trying to do, that's up to you. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you know, you're not, you know, you don't have some, you know, boss or somebody like that who can, you know, tell you, you know, oh no, we don't like your idea, or corporate doesn't approve. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, it's on you. It's up to
Look,
you.
look, look. I know, because I still working 9 to 5. Look, I know. I know. Like, I wake up every morning and I got a boss who tells me what to do, what not to do, is in control of my employment. And like, if and at any moment I'd be like, man, forget that. I ain't doing what you tell me to do. Oh, what? You're not? Oh, okay.
Oh
You
really?
fired.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Right? Okay. You know, but
Yeah.
for somebody, you know, we had a conversation on Clubhouse a couple
Mm.
of days ago with somebody, and matter of fact, with Matt B and Angela Benson. But
Okay.
we were talking about beyond the music, and should
Yeah.
somebody sign with a label or with, you know, stay independent. And I'm all for independent. Like, I
Yeah.
like labels, but I'm all for independent. And my reason why is for creative freedom and
Yeah.
ownership. Like, you are in charge. You don't have to have somebody else telling you this is what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it. You're your own boss. And I just love that. And that's what I'm working towards, is that I'm figuring out how to be my own boss, you know,
Yeah.
through this whole We Create Music TV thing. But
Yeah,
I
bro.
think it's a comfort and joy to wake up every morning and you are the boss and you can dictate your life for yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's like, so that's definitely the plus side, but like the other side of that double-edged sword is that also, like, your success is completely up to you though. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
It's just like,
That's right.
because like you really like the level of the level of grind and hustle you gotta have is like, it's a lot. And the thing is it takes time. Like, it takes consistent grind and hard work to really, like, you know, create, you know what I'm saying? When you're building something ground up from scratch, man, it's like it that's work. That's a level of work that, again, it's
Yes.
just like, you know, I mean, not necessarily trying to hate on anybody, but it's just like some people just aren't willing to put in that level of work at the
They're
end of the
not.
day. And and that's what it takes. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, like, if you are willing to put in that work, man, it's like, you know, I've spent, I think, most of my adult life self-employed, you know, because even before I was doing music, you know, doing the food truck. And, you know, I mean, I did that for almost 6 years. Yeah, like 6 years. And like, even that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's a whole nother level of, um, you know, grind, dedication. And it's tough, man, because I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, when you make those mistakes and it really, like, hits your pocketbooks like that, it's like, because even with my food truck, it's like, if we had a bad day on the food truck, guess what? My employees were still getting paid, but that, you know,
Right.
that L was that L was coming out of my
Come
paycheck,
out.
you
That's
know?
right.
And so it's like, it's tough, man, but like at the end of the day, it's just like, I've gotten to experience and do so many great things, and it's just, you know, like, I think, you know, just being able to create something, you know, out of nothing, and just be able to wake up and really just kind of be my own boss is really, it's dope. And again, and honestly, for kind of like what you were saying, man, as far as like you know, on the music tip and just being independent. And that's like why I'm so pro like independent creators, because like, look, man, like we're in 2021, right? We have the internet. Like we can reach billions of people.
You got it.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you really like, I mean, even just as an artist, like the amount of hardcore like fans, because what is it, the rule of 1,000, I believe it is, where if you really have like 1,000 hardcore fans who are gonna rock with you, you know, like buy your stuff, like get your merch, come to your shows. It's like, I mean, that's enough to like, you know, at least like pay your bills. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and you're telling me in this world of billions of people, like that you can't find just like a couple of thousand of them to really rock with you like that.
I'm still
like,
trying.
Hey man, and the thing about it though is just like it's not easy, because the problem is
No,
like
it ain't.
because you got this giant ocean of people, you know what I'm saying? It's like finding those right people and finding your target market and finding people who really rock with you is, you know, it's definitely a little bit more of a challenge, and it's definitely something that takes a lot of work, but it's something that, you know, I mean, but the great thing about it is that like, you know, you can dictate that, you can create that. And the thing about it, and again, it's just like, there are times in my personal opinion where, you know, signing to a label may be beneficial to somebody, but I think the thing that a lot of people don't really see is people always see the success stories, right? They always see the times when it works out well for somebody, but they don't see the other like 10 other times that it, you know, like screws over somebody's career. Like I know a lot of people, and in fact, I've been, you know, my first, I guess, major project that I worked on back in like 2012, it was with a pop artist, and you know, everything looked like it was rolling. You know, like we were on, like he had like we were working on it was me and one of my homies were working with this producer who had produced a lot of stuff for like Monica and stuff back in the day, and like the three of us were basically his production team. And then he was working with like Beyonce's Stagecoach. He had this tour lined up, like he had a role in like a Lifetime movie lined up, like all this stuff was ready to go. So to me, of course, I'm just like, oh snap, like this is it. Like to me, in my mind, I was thinking like, this is my ticket in. So like I put all my eggs into this basket. But the problem is what I didn't know at the time is that he had actually signed like a really, really, really bad deal. And so long story short, you know, that album that I, you know, co-produced a lot of the tracks on, basically got shelved, you know, and it's like he had such a bad experience from everything. Like he doesn't even really do music anymore. And it's really sad, because he was probably to this day probably one of the most gifted songwriters and just singers as far as for like pop music that like I've ever met. Like there's one of the songs of that album that like I'm being dead ass serious here. Like if that song came out today, like that would easily, I think that could be a Billboard like top 10 hit. It was that good. And like, and I don't say that about a lot of things, but I'm really that serious. And it's like, unfortunately, like the world's never going to get to hear that, you know what I'm saying? And that, and you know, people are never going to get to see really like how dope he is. And to me, it's so like, it's just so sad, because it's like, again, like, I mean, it's, you know, it's not just him too. I mean, like even for me, like I was in a situation, like I was, you know, I got in a bad situation with Epic Records back in like, I think 2018 or 2019. And, you know, it's like I worked on a bunch of stuff that is never going to see the light of day, you know, which is unfortunate. But again, it's just like, it's one of those things where, again, a lot of people see the times when it works out well, and they think like, oh, well, then this is what this really famous person did, and that worked out well for them. So, you know, and I think too, a lot of times it's like, a lot of times people see it as like, I don't know, I call it like the American Idol mentality, where it's like people feel like if they just get in front of that right person, or they just get their music heard by these right people, then they'll get signed to this deal, they'll get all this money, they're gonna blow up, and then everything's gonna be amazing, and they're gonna be famous, and all this money, and life's gonna be great. And it's just like, nah, fam. And again, that does happen for a very, very small like subset of people, but like the rest of that giant pie is all people who have gotten like totally screwed over. I mean, even it was because I live here in Nashville, and Big Machine Records, which was Taylor Swift's old label, is here. And one thing that they were notorious for doing is they were notorious for signing acts that looked and sounded somewhat similar to Taylor. And then shelving them. Taylor. Yeah. And so it's like, I remember seeing there was a friend of mine who, like, I saw, she posted this Instagram picture of, like, I guess her and a bunch of other female artists who were at this table signing their record contract to Big Machine. And it was like big blondes, big dreams, Big Machine. And I was just like looking at that, and I'm just like, oh no, like, we don't, like, do you not see like what's happening here? Like, and sure enough, nothing ever came out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and it's sad, but the thing is like, people don't see that. People don't see that, and they don't understand that. So just like, for me, like, I'm like, yo, being able to have the freedom and being able to get to that point, like, yes, it takes more time. Yes, it takes more work, but you have the opportunity to not have that happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't run that risk. Like, your success is on you. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people just don't, I think a lot of times they see, oh, I get this money, I get all this stuff, not realizing that the terms of this deal are bad, or not realizing that, their career might be totally ruined from signing this contract. It seems great at first. And so I just, for me, I'm like, I'm like, yo, like, you really, and that's what we're trying to do with Bounce Gvng. I mean, it's just like, we're trying to provide like all the tools and resources and be like, yo, like, all these things that you really think that you need like a major label for, it's like, you can get them yourself, and we can help you do that. And so that's why, like, I'm really passionate about doing that, just because, again, it's just like, I just don't want to see that happen to somebody else, where it's like, they like, quit, or there's some like, or they have their career put on hold, or they're just in like indefinite limbo at some like label or publishing company because like, just because of a bad deal or a bad situation. And it's just like, man, like, that's the worst. So
yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst, man. So let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Bounce Gvng, and let's talk about what your mission and vision is, and what you offer to music creatives that helps them to kind of further their music career. So let's talk about some of those things.
Yeah, man, 100%. And kind of like what I was saying earlier, it's just like we all came together as creatives, like writers, producers, artists. And, for us, we had all, I mean, some of the experiences that I share with myself, it's like, I'm by no means alone in that. And definitely, not like, a lot of people on my team have had those experiences as well. And so, I mean, we saw that it's just like, there's a lot of us have been having problems with like, some of the other distro companies out there. So we're just, so we're just like, what would it take for us to actually like do this ourselves, and to take, this distribution piece into our own hands? And then same thing with the publishing, you know what I'm saying? And then same thing, later with like the multi-channel marketing. It's just like, how can we go like, because the thing is, we're just like, these labels, these distributors, I mean, they have to be going to somebody, like, they have to be doing something. So how are they doing this? You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, where it's just like, let's just go straight to the source here. And so, and that's at the end of the day what we did. And so, we wanted to provide something, something that's fair, that's equitable, and that's affordable. Because one thing too, we realize is like, a lot of these other companies are charging all this money for something that ultimately doesn't really cost them that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, not nearly as much as they're charging. And so I think for us, it's, we wanted to create something where it's just like, because we're creatives, because we know what it's like to be the artist, because we know it's like, to all the other creators out there, it's basically just like, we're y'all, like, we get it. So we know what you need. And so that's why, like, we came together. So where it's like, whether or not it's just distribution, or just pub admin, we have a lot of other services too that we provide, because like we with some of our other packages, like we help, like for instance, like one thing a lot of people don't realize is like if you want to qualify for charting on Billboard or radio, you have to register your songs on Nielsen SoundScan or with Mediabase or BDS. And
Or
so
BDS,
we,
yep.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, we help do that. And even with the publishing, it's just like a lot of times people don't even realize, they just maybe at most sign up as a songwriter with like ASCAP or BMI, and they just leave it that,
They're
where it's
like,
just
all right,
like,
that's it. I'm good.
yeah, it's just like, nah, fam, like you've got like a whole other, like there's so much out there that, and the thing that's crazy is like these royalties are being generated. Like all you really have to do is just make sure your stuff is registered in the proper places. And the thing about it though is a lot of people, it's a lot. It's a headache. I mean, there's 8 societies here just in the US alone that you have to make sure
Wow.
you're registered with just to get all of your money, not to mention globally, like internationally. And
Right.
so, what we do is we just we try to make it just really easy. It's like, when you sign up with us, you just register your song just one time, and then we make sure it's registered everywhere and that you're getting your money from all these different places. Cause like I was in, I got a songwriting placement back in 2018, which was super dope. And I ended up getting a 50-50 co-pub deal with Cobalt out of that,
Wow.
which has been super dope. But like even, and that put a lot of perspective, because even so with Cobalt, I'm only getting half of all of my publishing. Even that half, my checks that I'm getting from Cobalt are easily like 4 times as much as my royalty checks I'm getting just from BMI as a writer. So it's like, and so if you do the math, that's a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of money that again, a lot of people just are leaving on the table, or they don't think it's, a big deal. But even that one song, I mean, over the course of, years has gotten me like, multiple thousands of dollars. I mean, I'm not saying that as a flex, but I'm saying that as
Wow.
just like, this is doable. Like you can really make money, from your music. It's just a matter of, but the problem is it's a lot, you know what I'm saying? Especially as an independent artist, it's a lot for you to handle by yourself. And so basically, you do need a team, you need a team of people. And we try to, provide those tools and those resources and be part of your team essentially, because at the end of the day, it's like, there's no reason why, if you don't have, super dope music and that work ethic and that grind to get out there and get it, why you can't be successful and be making a living off this.
That's right.
Straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of what you said. I think a lot of people, and I talk about it in my other master type classes that I do, is that a lot of times people want 2 things. I don't think people want to do it because they're like, oh man, this is just too tough, and so I'm just not going to do it. Or the other part is they may just be uneducated about the whole process, and they may not even know. Like I know a lot of people that are dope artists and producers, and they just don't know how to go about the process of getting themselves set up for success with, not even just the PROs, not even just PROs, right? And so
Yeah.
we're talking about Harry Fox and a
Yep.
whole bunch of other stuff, and people are just like, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, I don't, no.
Exactly. And the problem is, it's just like, nobody's showing anybody, you know what I'm saying? It's
Nope.
just like, it's a lot of times people get in this weird crabs in a bucket mentality here in the music industry, where it's just like, in order to get mine, I can't, I got to make sure you don't get yours, because I got to make sure I get mine. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Where it's just like,
oh,
and it's like, there's more than enough to go around for everybody. Like, honestly, like I truly believe that, if you really want this and you really want this, as your career in your life, like there's a place for you. There is
yeah.
success for you out there. It looks different for everybody, but I believe that that's out there and attainable for you. And it's just, and I think too, it's like a lot of people in the industry don't want to kind of give out a lot of this information, because then there's some people,
Oh,
their whole
oh, oh,
careers, dog, are based on basically like not sharing the information
sharing
that they have
information.
and taxing you for it. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
It's just like, 'cause they
Oh
know,
my gosh.
they're just like, you know what? If people actually know this, they'll realize how I'm not relevant or needed. So,
Yeah.
you know what
You
I'm saying?
know,
So it's just like, let me withhold all these secrets. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta pay for them.
oh my gosh. I talk about that all the time. I talk about the abundance versus scarcity mindset, and how the
Yes.
scarcity mindset is all about, if you get this placement, then I may not. If you get this connection, I may not. If you get this deal, I may not. And so people, and I do agree, it's a lot of people within the music industry that see the pie like this, and they're like, I'm gonna try to get all as much pie as I can and let you get none. And
Yep.
I love people who operate from an abundance mentality, because there's enough out there for everybody. It may look different,
Yeah.
right? But there's enough out there for every single person. I hate
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
And that's the thing too. That's why, like, that's one thing we're also really big on, is we're super big on education. And so, like, I mean, every Wednesday I do a new video that's typically like publishing centric, just because like that's like my thing. But yeah, I mean, every Wednesday, like on our YouTube channel, like we put out a new video. And again, like, because the thing about it is, like, I mean, even before I started, doing this with Bounce Gang, when I was just helping out other artists that I was working and collaborating with, there was multiple times where a couple of them were just like, because I walked them through the whole process. I'm like, all right, yep, we got to sign up. You got to make sure you're signed up with your PRO as a publisher. You got to make sure that you have an account with Harry Fox, Music Reports, MediaNet, SoundExchange, like all these other things. And there's like, first of all, I didn't know any of this existed. Second of all, I would walk them through the whole process, and they're like, oh my gosh, bro, this is just so much. They're like, this is so much. And by the end of the process, they're just like, wow, I'm really glad that I know this, but like, this is a lot. And I don't, this is kind of a giant hassle. And so literally like two people like started saying independently of each other, they're just like, yo, man, like I would literally pay you to just do this for me. And so I'm like, all right. Like, like, I
Yeah.
mean, just like, I'll be cool and like fair about it. But I mean, at the end of the day, and that's what we do, especially like with a pub admin, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's really more so it's like, we show you exactly, like, if you want to do this yourself completely, like we show you 100%. Like there's no veil, there's no curtain, that we're hiding behind as the man. It's like, no, like we lay it all out there, man. Like we're, if you want to see exactly how we do this and how we register this stuff everywhere, like we'll show you, like straight up. Like it's not even and a lot of times it's just like, if you're an independent artist though, it's just like on top of the other like billions of things you got to do. If you're trying to do this yourself, it's just like, that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? That it's just like, honestly, we're just like, hey, you know what? Like, we can make sure that we can do this for you, help you out, make sure it's done correctly so that all your data is correct and stuff. And like, you know what I'm saying? That you'll be set. And that's one less thing you got to worry about. So then, a lot of times people just, tell you just enough so that you'll just like buy their services and stuff like that. But we're not like that. Like we're very much just like, no, like this is exactly how we operate. This is exactly what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to see the like giant spreadsheet that holds like all this data that we then convert to this type of file that we then send everywhere, like cool. It's like it's not, like we're not like we really, really want people, because at least for me, it's your money. You know what I'm saying? Like, shouldn't you want to know like where your money's coming from and how it's being made, and like be able to make the most of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and some people don't, like, which I think for me is a little sad and kind of concerns me a little bit, because that's how people can come in and kind of take advantage. Because, I was at a show one time, and my friend of mine who was performing the show, I was just asking, I was just like, yo, like, well, like, how many pre-sales did you get, just like for the show, just like out of curiosity. And she was just like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like, you don't know, like, this is your money. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, this is your money for like your show. Like, shouldn't you like want to know that? And I mean, and the thing, and she was like, oh yeah, well, like my, so and so person who works for me, like they handle all of that, which is just like, I'm like, I mean, and I get like handling that is one thing, but just you not knowing anything about how any of that stuff is going on, like me, I'm just like, oh man, that's dangerous to me. I think it's just because, again, I've seen how people could come in and take advantage of me, and that's how you see. I mean, you see a lot of times where it's just like, somebody's like suing their manager or somebody like this because they like took money or didn't pay whatever, and it's just like, and it'll be like, for some of these stars in like the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm just like, are those seriously the types of problems that you want to have? Like, is that really worth it to you to just not like not have any idea at all, like not have any like clue? And so, I mean, I think, and
Like, how
again,
do you
I
not
think
know?
that there's, yeah, and it's one of those things where it's just like, again, like I always encourage people, like, you may not, and I don't think it's wise to handle every single little detail, because again, you're just, if you're just an artist, like you're just one person, there's only so
Mm-hmm.
much you can do, especially when you're trying to create, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, still knowing and understanding. It's the same
That's
way
right.
that it's just like, even though I have a bookkeeper and a CPA for my accounting, I still at least have a basic idea of how it works, because it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
if I see some, funny business on the books, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'll know, you know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? Cause I'm like, it's again, like I'm serious about my money. Like I'm not leaving that to chance. And I think a lot of times, and I get it, it's difficult because, as artists, as creatives, trying to, approach that in a business way can be
Mm-hmm.
like difficult. It can be tough, and then not everybody's brain works that way entirely. So I get
Right.
it, but I would always encourage just any artist who's being independent, man. Like, definitely at least know, even if you do have a team, just like definitely, it's a
You still gotta
business
know.
that you
You still
run.
gotta
Like,
know.
at the end of the day, if you're the independent artist, those people work for you. So it's like, it would be just like, it would be like, the owner of a company not having any idea of like how his different departments are doing, or like, not keeping an eye on,
Oh, but
you
they
know,
do.
yep.
Look, you hear them on the news. They were like, "Well, I didn't know anything about what they were doing over there because they didn't report that." Like, how do you not know what goes on in your own organization? You should be having. I mean, if you're the CEO of the organization, the president of the organization, you should know. You may not know the very minute details, but you should have
Yeah,
systems in place that kind of safeguard information, and you should have people that kind of are clued into what's going on so that you can at least have some insight into what's going on to the day-to-day
exactly.
operations. That's crazy.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, as an independent artist, that's exactly what you are. Is
Yep.
you're the CEO of your own business and organization. And I think a lot of times it's like, it's tough for people to make that transition. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
if you really want to do this, like for real, I mean, you gotta start thinking that way. You gotta start getting that together, or it's gonna, you're only gonna get so far. At least in my
That's right.
personal opinion.
That's right. Man, one of the things I love that y'all do is you do, I don't know if you do them weekly, but you do chats on Clubhouse. And,
Yeah,
everybody gets together from Bounce Gang. And I love the fact that when everybody gets together, you have like the same, everybody has the same logo that's all up there. I guess for whatever you're going to be pushing that week, or maybe it's the
yeah,
Bounce Gang logo that's up there. But you guys seriously are bringing people in and answering their questions straight, I mean, literally straight on. And I've sat in several of them, just listening like, okay, oh, I didn't know that about publishing. Okay, people need to think. And I hear people ask a lot of questions, and y'all give them straightforward, right to the point answers to help them out. And I think that's so appreciated, because I know a lot of people aren't trying to provide them with information. Because if I provide you with the information and you get it, then I may, be out of a situation where they don't come to me no more, right? And so this goes back to that whole scarcity mindset. But I appreciate the fact that y'all do that for the music community.
yeah, 100%. That's something that I always was, because we came out of, of I Standard, and
Right.
that whole crew and organization. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, shout outs to, Sis, and shout outs to J Hatch out there, just because, I mean, like, if it wasn't for them, I mean, that was something that they were always big about, that they always
Mm-hmm.
did. It's like, they really, and that's the thing, and that's why I kept coming back to their events, is because when I
Me
went to
too.
their events, like, I learned more from I Standard events than I did at my 4 years going to school for music business. Like, straight
Yes.
up. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I
I
mean,
agree.
that's sad in other ways about, the education system. But, that I think that just speaks to, I think that speaks to,
Mm-hmm.
the culture that they created. And that's something that
Right.
too, like, we want to take that and continue that even further. You know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Mm.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I mean, it's like, it's no longer now with us, with what we're trying to do. It's no longer like, the business people versus the creatives people. It's like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like, I feel like almost we're like the creative people that just like snuck into the business
Snuck into the
world and just
business.
like open the
Right.
door, and we're just like, hey guys, let's get in here and
Mm-hmm.
run this. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like we're trying to do.
Hey.
And yeah, at the end of the day, kind of like what you said, man, even, yeah, because we're on Clubhouse, like, yeah, we open that room like a couple times a week. And so
Okay.
if y'all are on Clubhouse, anybody who's on Clubhouse, feel free to tap in with us.
Yeah,
Bounce
for
House
sure.
is our club. So we're always and even if you just go to our site, bouncegvng.com, which is a BOUNCEGVNG. So we have the A in gang as a V. So if you go to our website, feel free to hit us up. We also got a Slack group that you can join.
Okay.
There's a link on our website that you can join the Slack group as well. And yeah, I mean, we're always here to answer questions. We're always here. At the end of the day, like, I mean, we're really here to help. And I mean, it's not, this isn't some
Mm-hmm.
sort of like hustle or come up type of vibe. It's like, it's literally like, nah, like because at the end of the day, it's just like, we're creatives too, man. It's like, we want to help you. We want to make music with you too. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Mm-hmm.
just put out a whole, we're writers, we're producers, we're artists, man. Like we're always looking for people to work with. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like, we want to help, you know, you, us, everybody. Like
Yeah,
we want to make the most out of this music and out of this dope stuff we're creating, man, at the end of the day. So
that's right. That's right. Shout out to Bounce Gang. But
Bounce Gvng.
Bounce Gang. That's right. That's right. So man, so for you, what would be your biggest advice for anybody that's trying to get into this whole music world?
Yeah, man. I would just say learn. Educate yourself, and I would say also be teachable. I think that there's a lot of people and a lot of artists that I've worked with who, they kind of get around their crew or their group of friends, and they kind of, maybe have an idea or something, that one of their homies suggests and stuff like that. And then, I may come to them and just be like, like that might actually not be the best idea because of XYZ, or because of like this experience that I've had. And, I've had some people just basically tell me like, no, or that I'm wrong, or that I'm like not correct or something. And it's, I would say, it's just like, all right. I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, there's always somebody who has more experience and who's done this better than you. And same thing with me. I mean, I'm constantly learning. Like I have mentors not only within my own team, but even, outside of that, who have helped me to get to where I'm at today. And I would just say, man, just, be humble, be teachable, and do your
Mm-hmm.
research and learn. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, if you're not in a place where you're willing and able to be coached and to grow and to constantly improve upon what you're doing, then in my opinion, you're only going to go so far. So I would say just, anybody who's out there, just please just learn it. Oh, and also too, another thing I would say is, if you get a contract, read that and understand it word for word, what it says and what it means. Because, you don't want to get, I think a lot of times it's easy to, for something to look good at first, especially if, whoever's, pitched you maybe a really good thing and good idea. But if that contract and that paperwork ain't right, you're about to have a really bad time. And
Mm-hmm.
I have signed, unfortunately, I have signed my fair share of bad contracts and have learned from that. And there's songs and things that I've done that are never going to see the light of day because of that.
Mm.
Or I've had to, it's taken me a long time to get out of a situation that I wasn't happy being in. So I would just say, as far as advice, again, just like, be humble, be teachable, do your research, and don't sign a contract without understanding completely what all the terms are. Those would be my biggest takeaways. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lot. I mean, I'm still learning. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still learning. I'm still growing, and you know, yeah. I mean, I would just say like, um, there's always something you can learn and do better.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree that people need to read those contracts. But what's so crazy is that they put words in there that people are like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
What's perpetuity? What's that? I don't know what that is. Like,
Yeah, exactly. No, but like, and it's, I mean, and it's taken a lot of,
mm-hmm.
conversations with lawyers. And I mean, and I'm grateful that, even when I was in school, like I took a music business law class, which was actually very helpful. But that's the thing, like not everybody gets that. And I mean, there, honestly, at the end of the day, like a lot of those things, I would just sit there and Google. I would just like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like such a simple thing, but people don't really do it a whole lot of times, where it's just
Right.
like, oh, I don't know what that is. Well, it's just like, all right, cool. Then you should Google it, man.
Google it.
Like, like straight up, like it's like I mean, when I was starting my food truck, I didn't understand or know how to do any of that. Like I didn't have any experience. I didn't even really
Mm-hmm.
have food service experience. And I literally just started with Googling, how do I start a food truck? And just Googled from
How?
there and
Right.
figured everything out. But no, literally. And I did that for like
Yeah.
6 years because like I just did the research and just learn and just, I mean, like we have the internet, like there's
Mm,
not really any question that we can't find the answer to. I think a
that's
lot of
right.
times it's like, I think it's sad because like I really think like our education system makes they equate school and learning, which in my personal opinion is not good, because like in school or not in school, you always got to learn. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
And get and that's one thing I'm really grateful for, that like I think my mom instilled in me when I was really really young, is that she always encouraged me to always be learning. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And even outside of school, like there would just be things like we would always like go to the zoo and like, would tell me like interesting facts about like the tigers. But yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just like that like it was cool though, because then it's just like I really was like, okay, cool. Like,
mm-hmm.
learning can be cool actually. But it's like school, unfortunately, a lot of times makes learning really
Mm-hmm.
not cool. And I think a lot of times people just then get to that point
Yeah.
where they're just like, I don't want to
I
deal
mean,
with school or learning or that at all.
that's because it's institutionalized learning, right? And so they only
Yeah,
teach. They don't really teach you how to live life. They don't teach you what really matters for you to be successful. I mean, they're teaching you things maybe from their own opinion, which I found that, and then they're
yeah,
just straight teaching you things out of books that. But if they taught real life things, which is why you said you learned more at ISRC events than you did in school. Why? Because ISRC was
yeah,
bringing together people who had been doing 20 plus years of producing and mixing and mastering, and so they could tell you everything about what it was and all their experiences and how it culminated into where we are today. But no, but the reason why I was
yeah,
laughing earlier about the whole learning thing with your mom, I think that's a mom trait though.
yeah,
I think that's a mom because my kids, whenever we would go to the zoo, their mom would be the one. Well, look over here. This butterfly, this tree, this animal, this, and I'm looking at her like, hey, does everything got to be like, give the kids a break, you know? And plus, my kids were homeschooled, and so she was their
oh yeah,
teacher. So every
mm,
opportunity was a teachable moment for them. But my kids are
yeah.
hella smart though. I mean, they
There you
hella smart, so
go.
I got nothing to say
Yeah,
about
I
that. But yeah,
know.
I think it's a mom trait though.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely grateful for my mom for that. But yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing, man. It's just like don't like. I think a lot of times too, it's like I think we will automatically assume with some of those beliefs, kind of like what we were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like, oh, that's too much for me. Like I can't understand that. I can't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's just like,
Right.
oh, maybe you could. You know what I'm saying? Have you tried? Like and it's like, and that's the thing too. It's like some of the stuff that, and that's why I really like I love like teaching people about a lot of the stuff that we do, just because it's just like, yo, like I try to make it easier because I know that a lot of this stuff can get complicated and confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm just like, nah, let me just try to break it down like this as simply as I can. Because
Right.
again, it's just like a lot of times people will just like, they'll just hit this point where there's like, I don't know, this is confusing to me, and just say, like, screw it. I'm out. I'm done. And then it's just like, but it's like, it's unfortunate, man, because it's like I think there's a lot of like learning and growing that people could do, that it's just like I think they just get turned off, and then a lot of times people just don't want to even try. And I think that's really really sad, because I think at the end of the day it's just like, again, like there's everybody, we're all capable of so much, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, and again, like there's like me, you know because again, like I just took a van and put like a commercial kitchen inside that
Mm.
and roamed around the streets of Nashville, like selling food to people for years. And it's like, I didn't do that because of there was something innate, talent with me or anything like that. It was literally just like, I just was like, yo, like, I want to do this. This is really cool. And I just figured out how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just learned, I put in the work to just look it up, to ask people, to talk to people. Like, I went up to other food truck owners. I'm like, how did you do this? Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's the thing too, man, I think. And that's, I guess another thing on the advice tip I would give to people is, get outside of wherever you're at, because if you just stay in your same place with the same people around you and don't get out there and grow, like for me, like that's why I had to go to like, New York, LA, Miami, Atlanta, like all these different places to go to these, conferences or things like that to learn and grow. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, and that's why I ended up moving to Nashville from Gulf Shores where I grew up, because it's like, like that, I love, I love Gulf Shores and stuff, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the industry ain't there, and like the people ain't there. And even in Nashville, it's like, there's only so much here too. That's like, there's stuff, there's stuff in people in other areas where it's like, getting out there and seeing, because then I saw like, okay, this is what's actually happening in the real world. It's like, it's really easy, and I think that's something I see in Nashville a lot. Is like, a lot of people can kind of hype themselves up. They might have a little name for themselves, like in the city to some degree. But it's like, if you drive like 30 minutes outside of Nashville, does anybody know who you are?
Man,
You know what I'm saying?
Atlanta.
Like, does
It's
anybody
just like
care?
Atlanta. Right.
And it's just like, and that's the thing. It's just like, if not, then it's just like, all right, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you're only going to get, and I think that's the problem too. It's like, I think a lot of times you can kind of get in this group think mentality, and it's like having other people. And that's why, again, like, I love those iStandard events, because like, I could literally talk and have a conversation with like Scott Storch's lawyer, about some questions that I have. And, he put me on game or helped me think about something in a completely different way, that it's just like, me with my own limited experience, I'm just not going to have. So it's just like, but it took me getting outside, that took me, going to an event in LA and meeting with him and talking with, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, if we don't, and I know it's tough right now, obviously, because, COVID, and we're not able to, do those, but man, listen, once this is over, once we're past this and we can get back outside again, I am going to be all up in like those conferences and all that stuff. Like, I'm gonna be, listen,
Look,
you're gonna
me
see
too.
me every single one.
Me too.
Like, I'm ready. So it's been too long.
Me
It's
too.
so weird, man. I haven't left this city in like 14 months, and it's starting to get to me. So
look, the only place I go from this house is to the store, gas station, mail place back home. That's it.
Yep.
I don't go nowhere else.
Like, literally for me, it's just like, it's my apartment, the studio, grocery store. Yeah. And then like, if I have to like go to the bank or something,
I got too much stuff to do. To get caught up. It's so crazy. So before we wrap up, it's so crazy. I got to tell this quick story, because it's the realization of what was posted that makes a person go, So I saw a post by this artist, and this artist, and I had seen posts by this particular artist several times since we've been in this COVID state. And this particular artist was always out during COVID, always out, no mask, no nothing, doing shows in groups of people in mass at clubs, doing concerts, doing all these things, right? About 3 weeks ago, I saw a post, an angry post. I can't believe I got COVID because, don't let these people. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what you expect. If you are continuously putting yourself in a situation where you could be susceptible to whatever is happening, you can. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who's out at the club or conferences or concerts or whatever is going to get it. But you play with fire, you might get burned. That's all I'm gonna say. And it was just like, wow. But what this particular artist said in the post was don't let people make you believe that you have to be out here in order to further your career. You need to take care of yourself, which I should have known that I should have been doing, but I was so wound up and caught up in, I got to move my career forward. So that means I got to do shows, but people realize they can do online concerts. I have a cousin who's an artist here in Atlanta, Superstar 6, dope artist, dope producer. He did a whole concert in his crib, had the fog machine, the lights and everything, the mic. I'm like, look at this dude. But it's doable. And I sat there and I watched the whole thing and I was like, go cuz, that's awesome. And
that's fire.
He killed it. But you got to figure out ways, because here's what I'm gonna tell people as we really wrap this up. It's not gonna go back to being the same. It's not. I don't think it's gonna go back to being the same anymore. I think we're gonna start seeing a hybrid situation, and yeah, I don't think it's ever gonna be the same again from this point on. But man, Hayden, man, we've been talking for a while, man. It's been good to sit here and talk to you like this. I mean, I've seen you at events and things like that, but for us to sit here and kind of just chit chat away and just me to get to know you better as well has been a great blessing to me. So where can people find you?
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. So you can follow me at Hayden THC everywhere on all platforms. It's HAYDEN THC. You could also, I'm always involved up in Bounce Gvng stuff. So you can check us out on our website, bouncegvng.com, BOUNCEGVNG.com. So you could hit us up there. But yeah, man. And again, like, I'm always down if anybody's got like any publishing questions or anything like that, you can literally just like DM me, hit me up. Like,
I'm a tap.
I got something.
I got something.
I got you, man. I'm here to help.
So last year I was doing these things, and I need to restart them up, called The Conversation, right? And so I did one on music production where I had focus and willpower, and a good friend of mine named Lionel Cohen, who I met at a networking event at ASCAP. And I did one of those, and then I did one on sync licensing. I want to do one on publishing. That's what, yeah. Let me plan that. Let me plan that out.
Bet. Well, yes, hey, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm around, man. If you got any questions or anything like that, or any way I can be assistance of that, man.
Perfect.
Yeah, bro. Again, thank you so much for having me on, man. Again, like I've like we've known each other for a minute, and like we have a lot of mutual friends, man. So I'm happy that we were finally able to link and connect, and that you were able to bring me onto your show and your platform, bro.
Yes,
like,
thank you.
Much appreciated, man. Much love. Thank you so much, dude.
Oh man, I appreciate it. All right, brother. So hold on 1 second before you go.
You got it, bro.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, man, that was a great and amazing conversation with my man Hayden. Make sure if you just tuning in halfway, make sure you go back and watch the beginning all the way through. But I want to say thank you very much once again for tuning in to We Create Music TV, and just been a blessing to what we do and for your support. Now, once again, you can always check us out every Monday and every Thursday night. We do live interviews here on our YouTube channel and on our website, of course, wecreatemusic.tv. You can tune in for our master classes that we do. We just dropped a networking in the music industry one that kind of goes into the ins and outs, do's and don'ts, and a lot of different things you can learn that you can apply offline as well as online also. But it's been a blessing. Thank you very much for tuning in. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tell everybody about what We Create Music TV is doing. And I greatly appreciate it. And we are out. Thank you.